Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and as we inch closer and closer to that next standard rotation, as well as the next expansion announcement, which could be coming as early, I think, as next week, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about kind of the elephant in the room, where we saw a blog in the latest patch notes with that, super gigantic, very impactful Morchi buff, where they said that, Elise would get adjusted with a much larger balance patch coming. And I thought, yeah, let's talk about what other cards besides Elise should get hit before standard rotation occurs, because I don't think they're going to be nerfing cards that are going to be rotating like a Zilliax and things like that, or a Colossus for those Protoss haters. Don't think we'll talk about that, but we'll go over kind of the candidates, the most likely of the cards that could get adjusted before rotation occurs. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, as it helps the channel out a ton. So again, if you're not entirely sure what I was talking about, we had these patch notes go out on the 27th last week, which did say, looking ahead, there are two major balance patches on the horizon, one featuring widespread balance changes, and the other bringing our annual set rotation and core set update. This one should happen first because the core set and the set rotation occur when the expansion goes live. The next expansion always happens when it goes live, right? The reverts happen like a week before that. It's a bit of a messy timeline. We'll talk about that when all that stuff is announced soon, hopefully, I would imagine. And again, they basically confirmed that Elise the Navigator will be getting adjustments. So let's go over the cards that I think have the best chance of being hit. And I don't think there's actually like a huge list of cards I would hit in standard that aren't rotating. Like, again, Zilliax is a card you could consider, but it's rotating, so it's going to be kind of disqualified. So obviously Elise will get nerfed. It'll just be interesting to see what route they take. Do they make her 5 mana so she's not so good on curve, right? 4 into the 5 mana location is why, a big part of why going first in Hearthstone is so good right now. You make her 5 mana, you can't really do that. And also, coining Elise into the Elise location will actually be a pretty valid play, making going second maybe not as brutal, but still probably pretty brutal. But there are other things you could do. The main one being is just eliminating copy out of the entire equation, whether it's the 1 mana version or, yeah, like 5 mana. You could nerf the stats on the copies if you wanted to. You could nerf the stats on the Raptors, right? You could make these 1/1s, which would make things a lot worse, right? To try and control that board. You could make the attack buffs a little bit less, but like the mana cheat on the spells, all the other ones aren't as impactful. The big strong ones are, yeah, the Raptors, sorry, and the copies. So there's a lot of ways they could go about it. For me, I probably make her a 5 mana 5/5, like the Ngoro Elise, something like that. But we'll see. We know it's going to be getting changed. It's just a matter of how much does it get changed, or do you need 11 cards of different costs? Like make Ultra Gigasaur mandatory going after rotation, right? Because Ceaseless is leaving. There's only so many expensive cards available, and not every actually, no, you can always run Wisp, right? Unless they rotate Wisp and there's no 0 drop in standard, which it could happen, probably not. I don't think we've ever seen that, but it's a possibility. The other big card of contention is Blob of Tar. This card is so unbelievably good. It's so just subtle in how good it is, especially when you get more of them, which we'll talk about, where I actually don't have a problem with Blob of Tar as a standalone card. I just think it's a good card. Like it feels good to play in my deck. It's really solid. It's a little bit obnoxious with the Elise copy location, but even that isn't like game breakingly good. To me, I really don't think Blob is that huge a deal. To me, the card I would look at is the Demon Hunter card, Ravenous Fell Hunter, right? This is where it gets out of control, where you play Blob on 4, Ravenous on 5, it spawns 2 more Blobs. Thankfully, though, one of the reasons why I've had people say, like, you don't need to nerf it, return policy, right? That spell is rotating, which maybe they're right. Maybe return policy is enough that it won't be as obnoxious, but the play pattern of that whole combo has been annoying, and it was before even Blobatar, right? We had Ball Hog, which got nerfed to basically because of this card. It was never a problem before that. And Arcanite Defense Crystal, which got nerfed for plenty of reasons, but I'm pretty sure it went from 4 to 5 because of Ravenous Fell Hunter in Starship Demon Hunter, which was also really gross. It's already been a headache for a year straight. I feel like it's time for this to either go up in mana cost, which can mess with that 7. Actually, no, I think it'd be fine with the 7. Regardless, it could go up in mana cost, but more, to me, it should have different Death Rattles die to get 2 copies of it. They'd have to reword the way it is, but I feel like you'd need to have 2 different Blobatars or 2 completely different Death Rattle minions die to activate. But this is one I could easily see them not doing because, yeah, return policy is rotating, and maybe it won't be as problematic, and they can do a wait and see. If it still is, then they can nerf it after, because, like, again, if you want a year plus of Death Rattle spam, it just gets tiring. It's really frustrating. And again, I don't think Blobatar should have to die for this card, since I think it's really strong in a lot of decks. I just don't think it's, you know, game breakingly good like it can be with Fell Hunter. And if you look at Demon Hunter right now, Demon Hunter is so freaking good. They have like 4 different archetypes that are like considered tier 1, and a lot of it is because of Ravenous Fell Hunter, Blobatar. But again, stuff will be rotating. It'll be interesting, but it's certainly something to me that could be on their radar. Another card I could see getting changed, one that just drives me crazy, and yes, I mean, it's part of Rogue, so Rogue always drives me crazy, but Deja Vu. Deja Vu is one of those cards where I just feel like for 1 mana, it just does way too much. You get hand information, you get to discover a copy of a card to your opponent's hand, which is typically just going to be a good card, and it costs 1 less. For 1 mana, that is absurd. That is absurd. But I will give a big asterisk to this card, where we know Elise is getting nerfed, and if Elise isn't in like 67 or 70% of decks, Deja Vu right away just gets to be a lot worse of a card. Like, one of the big strengths of this card right now is how good it is in the meta, where everyone's playing Elise. To get more Elise locations, that could be really darn strong. But to get all that hand information, I just feel like, to me, it just doesn't need to come with the mana cheat. I just feel like it does way too much for 1 mana, but statistically, it's not a huge outlier. It's just more of a frustration card. So again, one I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't get nerfed in the next patch, but if they're doing a lot of changes, is certainly one I would not be surprised at all to see on that list, where I don't think it needs to be murdered. I think you would still play it without the mana cheat, getting all that information, getting a good card for 1 mana. What are we talking about? How's that bad, right? Like, oh wait, I rated this a 2 out of 5 when I reviewed this, but I thought it would be more of a meta thing. Like, it would need to be good in the meta to be strong. And I guess I was right, because it's such a good card in this meta of Elise, but maybe it's just a good card overall, like really insane overall. Not sure, but one, again, I wouldn't be shocked if it's not nerfed, but I'm also really wouldn't be shocked if it did. And as a generational Rogue hater, more like Shadow Step hater, I guess I would be okay with that. I will admit, though, this card is pretty fun to play. Just, I hate facing it. We have 2 newer cards that I think could absolutely be considered for changes, just because they're so good. They're so good right now. First being Remnant of Rage, the Demon Hunter and Death Knight card, right? It's in a ton of decks right now. Almost all, outside of like Cliff Dive, right? All these Demon Hunter decks, Death Knight decks run this card. The 7 mana 6/5 Undead Demon costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. Battle Cry, draw 2 cards. It's kind of crazy that it's a 6/5, because when you like cheat this out, not only you're drawing 2 cards, it's a threat. Like, a 6/5, and it can come down pretty early, is pretty darn crazy in itself. So you could nerf the stats and it would be relevant for this card. Obviously, making it more expensive would be a much more powerful nerf, right? If you were to change that, where this just comes down relatively quickly. But if you take a look in particular, Demon Hunter, which like the best in right now, they're losing their pirate location, right? Which is one of the best cards and patches. Those are like the best cards to activate this card. So it's going to be getting basically nerfed with the rotation already, but it's so unbelievably strong that, yeah, I would be shocked if this card at some point doesn't get some adjustment, whether it's stats, mana cost. The draw is like good, but I feel like it almost at sometimes it's not the best part of the card. Just the stats of this thing alone can be really crazy early, but you could like have the card draw as well, right? There are so many different like pressure points you could hit on this card to adjust it. And I feel like, yeah, there's a good chance that could happen at some point. And another 7 mana card that's like, basically, I like how I go to warrior. It's not a warrior card. It's another 7 mana card that doesn't really cost 7 mana almost always. This is another card like Dragon Warrior's looking really good going into rotation, right? Like it is losing some stuff, but not a ton of stuff. And Prescient Slither Drake is just absurd when you're already a bit ahead and you slam it down on turn 4, or if you coined it, you know, on turn 3. You can't, it's really hard to interact with if you're behind. That's why these poisonous minions like Blobatar or the Poison Dragon are so important right now. That, yeah, this left unchecked, you just die. It's 6 damage. It's so much. And yeah, you can make this more expensive. You can make the cost less, you know, less itself. Cost 2 less, cost 1 less, cost 0 less. That's the Zeddy way. I don't want any mana cheat. But this is another one that you could absolutely make an argument for. The stats on it aren't like incredibly strong, but it is just such a like a frustrating one to face, where it's lower on my list of cards that can possibly get hit, but it's certainly one that you absolutely have to consider, because Dragon Warrior looks really good. Again, going into rotation looks really strong. And I guess I'll leave off because I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if I'm missing some obvious ones. But to me, one that you can really look at, and I'm not saying directly this card, Creature of Madness, Battlecry, discover 3-cost minion with a Dark Gift. I think this card is probably fine. It does have a big part of why going first is so good, but what wouldn't shock me is maybe they nerf some of the Dark Gifts themselves, right? We've seen that in particular with the StarCraft, like the little location missile pods that they have, where they nerf like a ton of them, where I could see them nerfing like the +4/+5 can just be obscene in Steel games, right? Just getting that stat bomb early on curve can be crazy, on at least on the creature card, right? I could see them, well, actually I can't see them taking charge away because Wallow is an archetype and it needs charge, but it's one you could consider, right? Like, I don't know if they would actually nerf the Dark Gifts themselves, but considering how good Dark Gift, you know, is right now in Dragon Warrior and maybe Wallow Warlock, it's not high on my list. It's not even really on my list. It's just something you could consider, something you could definitely talk about. But overall, going into rotation, a lot of the cards that are just super crazy and problematic, if you want to call them that, like, you know, a card that I absolutely can't stand, I absolutely loathe, that's leaving, so I don't have to worry about it. And Grifta, where, oh, I got deal 6, I guess I win the game, or I got healing when I shouldn't be able to heal. Just, I feel like one of the worst design cards in modern times in Hearthstone. To me, it's like, yeah, that would be way higher on my list, but it's rotating. So again, let me know in the comments down below what cards that are staying around in standard, like, you know, Shadow Step and Prep, which of course I don't mention because it's just not going to happen. But regardless, let me know, you know, the expansion cards that are sticking around, what you can see getting adjusted, or just leave everything alone. Let's see what happens after rotation, because yeah, rotation's going to be crazy, right? It's going to be the most impactful ever, and we'll have to see what the next expansion looks like. I personally can't wait. I certainly haven't seen anything yet, and I'm certainly not extremely excited for when it gets revealed. It's going to be great. It's going to be, I think, legitimately great. So I'm really looking forward to rotation, to the new core set, all that stuff, and it's probably coming pretty damn soon. So let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.